Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Folks, I'll get right down to the matter we're talking about today. We're right in the midst of election, and in all due respect, for some strange reason, when we're getting at this particular point in elections, some major events probably running around the country or somewhere local and whatever. And the latest major event on the news and the media aspect of it is the shooting of 11 people in another church. Comparable to that of in Atlanta, basically the same situation. The fact of the matter, it was all based on hate and racism, and everybody tuned in. Everybody tuned in, and in fact, the media today, it's like a 24/7 kind of a situation. They're all focused on this whole issue of the shootings up in Pittsburgh. Some of which many of you probably that are viewing this particular show just doesn't even take the time to look at either the CNN, if you will, or Fox. Bottom line is that he's been doing this for quite some time. And we got an election here. We got issues here in the various respective states. In my particular area, I'm talking about Oregon and the various areas in the state of Oregon. We got issues here. And I realize, hey, look, I feel the whole issue and the hurt, if you will, on the whole issue of the shooting aspect of it. But the fact of the matter is, it's kind of interesting that it's coming at a time when we got a very serious election aspect of it. And I'll be right up front with you. I blame the media and the talk show hosts for putting us in the situation that we're in today. And I'll explain a little bit more to that as we go along. But I want you to focus on some of the major issues that we have here in the state of Oregon. And in many ways, that issue, they just didn't pick just any issue. They picked an issue on whenever you make the mention of the issue of race, when you think about hate and racism. There we go. There it is. There it is. You got the minorities on one side, you got the majority. You got this, and you got that. It seems to excite everybody. And for some strange reason, we all relate to that. And so what I did was that I went out and got folks who I think we're going to be able to talk about this issue and get their views, because they're knocking on the doors. I'm talking about elected officials, folks who have been out knocking on doors here in the state, running for office. I've called several individuals. Naturally, some of them didn't want to show up because they weren't interested in dealing with the issue of race. The momentum was on one side, if you will. So the whole idea, I called up the other side, and naturally, I called the other side that was supposedly identified with the issue of the racism aspect. They were racist, i.e. those Republicans. If you were running as a Republican, you were a racist. If you were conservative, you were a racist. If you're if you're black, you're a Democrat in most cases. But in most cases, you're either Democrat. In that area, you are a Democrat. So anyway, you get the gist of the matter, and I tell you what, I got a lot of it from a friend of mine who's, as you can see, another Marine. He's sitting over here to my left on your screen, and it's Fred Stewart. And Fred hit it too, basically right down the deal in regards to how we're spending this deal on the whole issue of race and hate as it relates to this shooting. So he's here with me today, and also I've got one of the brave souls that's running around knocking on the door. They said that he's a Republican. They call him a racist, but there's nowhere in the world. I know him real well. He is not a racist. He happens to be someone who's running for office. He's very familiar with the issues.
Now, have you given him the certificate?
No, just hold on for a minute. Let me get through announcing it. We don't give him the certificate. That's why he's here. I'm talking about Bob Niemeyer. Bob's run. This is about his third time he's running for office. He happens to be a Republican, but he's running in House District number 35. He has a lot to say. He has got a lot to say, but I tried to call the other entity, but they didn't want to show up for some strange reason. I wonder why. Maybe they feel they got the momentum because Bob happens to be a Republican. Well, hey, that's not going to fly here. We're talking about the issues in his respective district. Normally, Tigard and other areas, he'll get a little bit more in it. I wanted to set that up because that's what we're going to do this whole hour. We're going to take about 10 or 15 minutes with Bob, and then we're going to go to the next. We're going to go to someone else who's running for office. You've seen him before. I'm talking about a guy named Tom Harrison, and we got Mark Callahan, and and we're just going to be talking about this whole piece because it's a very serious issue, and we got to get off that dime because we got issues facing us here in this country, but more specifically in the state of Oregon. Okay, with that, let's open up the show. Welcome, guys. All right, Fred, Okay, Fred, first off, you made the statement, your statement that you had in Facebook. Just share that real briefly, so then we'll get right into Bob.
Which one? Because I made several today.
Well, I know
Okay,
that.
I know.
Well, you
Just
can't talk
teasing
about one right
Just
now.
teasing you. No, I'm just curious.
quick.
You know, what our political leaders are going to do about hate in America. I mean, Donald Trump. The craziest thing that the man's done is allow himself to embolden Confederates and Nazis. And I know my Republican friends try to ignore it, but he has done that.
But how did that come about?
When he didn't come down on him on Charlottesville, that was where he could have should have
But
down.
who brought that up? Who brought the issue up?
About Donald Trump?
About him not coming up on that deal.
Well, no, I was one of the ones that brought it up.
No, it was the media and the media and Facebook.
Well, yeah, the media has pointed out, but you see, the thing is, nobody trusts the media, so there's a lot of things the media says
but
and people
they brought
ignore.
the issue up.
Well, yeah, they did, but what I'm saying
Had you not seen it on the press, on the tube, you wouldn't have
But
responded.
Bruce, what I'm getting into is I was talking to my friends about taking it further. Forget about what the press is saying. The fact is, we've got a U.S. president. You understand? I mean, I was in the Marines, right? And when I was in the Marines, I spent a little time at the White House, doing nothing much, shining shoes and shining brass. There's this guy named President Reagan.
Are you telling me you were shining
it.
shoes as an officer in the Marine Corps?
No, I was an officer.
Come on, Fred.
I was an E2. Let me
what?
finish, Bruce. I was an E2. Let me finish.
Jesus Christ.
Let me finish. The president that we had at the time, I didn't agree with.
Who was that?
President Reagan. But the one thing that President Reagan
Fred.
didn't do, he didn't embolden racist people to turn on Americans. We all felt as Marines back
Real quick,
then.
now, because I'm saying
We all
much
felt
time.
that if somebody internally or externally attacked the United States, that man would rain holy hell on them. And I don't feel that way with Donald Trump. As a former Marine, as a black man, as an American, I don't feel Donald Trump is going to go down and do anything to David Duke and the other white supremacists who motivate guys to go into a synagogue and kill 11 old people.
So you're suggesting that it was Donald Trump that motivated this guy?
It's not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump is part of it, but what I'm not
But
seeing...
wait. You said part. You said part of it. What part are you talking about? We getting ready to get into discussion. I want to know from you.
He, as commander-in-chief, he should have come out that day in Charlotte and said, hell no. I am going to sic the FBI and the U.S. military on every one of you. It is my job to protect the American people, all American people, from all threats, foreign and domestic.
How did he present it?
He said some of them were nice people.
Okay.
And you can't be a white supremacist
Who put the
and a
mic
nice
in the
person.
front of his place?
Well, it was a media person.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
but Bruce, I'm trying to take it away from the media because what I'm trying to say is the reason why I don't think my friends and family have paid attention to this that much is people in general are losing interest in the media. They are reading it as a guide, but for the most part, a lot, as time goes on, they're ignoring more and more.
But they brought the negative piece about race and hate to him front. That was.
Well, because they were disappointed like I was.
Yeah, but my point, why didn't he go to the governor and said the same thing?
Well, Bruce, that's why I brought that up. I've not seen anybody else in politics, especially in a progressive state like Oregon.
But it doesn't sell.
On the right, it does sell.
No, unless
sell.
you mention Trump, it doesn't sell.
It does sell. It does sell.
Why didn't they go to the governor in Charlotte?
The governor did speak out very strongly.
Why didn't they go first to the governor? They didn't.
They went to the governor about the same time. He released a much stronger statement against white supremacists than the U.S. president did.
But that was after the fact.
No, it was the same day. He was
I said after the fact. Whether it be half an hour, who was
Bruce.
first?
It was basically the same news cycle.
All right. Well, now you get the gist of it,
Yeah.
folks. That's why we got to talk about this issue, and it's election time right now, and it's going to impact votes.
But I want to add one more thing.
But you're going to be here anyway.
Okay.
You're going to be here for quite some time.
Okay.
You can express yourself a little bit more. We got Bob here. Bob Niemeyer. You're knocking on doors every day.
Yes, and to keep going
Go
on
on,
that
sure,
subject,
yes, go
is
on.
that I completely disagree that it was
Okay.
Trump that did that enabling. I believe that it was more like the Mueller investigation going on, who's trying desperately to keep the president from being successful. They will do absolutely anything to make sure that Trump looks like the person that he thinks that Trump is.
How in the world?
wait,
No. This man's going to sit next to a black guy and say Mueller, a Marine, motivated.
Excuse yourself. You got to give him the respect. He gave you the respect to hear.
I'm respecting him, but that just sounds...
you do not intervene while he's talking. Let him talk.
Okay.
Go on, talk.
Yes, and all I have seen in the
That's the problem.
media is this incredible effort to try and just destroy Trump. And there is absolutely no cost to anybody else that matters to that group trying to destroy Trump. And getting his hands tied so that stupid things like this shooting go on and get the blame for it, to throw it at Trump, is the goal behind all of that interference that's going on. That's why it's so important to get Republicans in there so that to basically overshadow that effort to try and destroy Trump.
Are Republicans going to protect 80-year-old Jewish people?
Fred, I'm not going
synagogues?
to say this anymore. Just take it easy. Let him voice me. I'm going to give you the opportunity. You had the opportunity to voice your opinion.
Well, do you understand my opinion about that?
That's what I'm right up front. That's why we're having the show, folks. Because the bottom line is that it can't be just accused. We got an election running right now. We got people. We're looking for good leadership and whatever. And I've invited folks to come on. Let's focus on that piece aspect of it. We're talking about hate and racism. That's what we're talking about. We got two different sides here. Fred's got one side. This gentleman here's got his side. We're going to voice the opinion because at the end of the day, we're going to have to solve this problem once the election is gone. And not a time, I mean, we still got a major problem. We still have major problems in Oregon. Okay, you brought that piece up. Bob, what are you hearing when you're knocking on the doors out there on the whole issue of when you're knocking on those doors, and how are you being accepted as far as you?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed that a lot of people don't want to put out signs. You know, like that sign right there. They don't want to put it out because they are actually afraid of what the neighbors are going to do to them, because they don't want to support anybody that's a Republican out of fear of what their neighbors might actually do to them. That has happened probably about 10% of the time. And when I started to point out that my sign doesn't say I'm a Republican, because I actually won the independent primary as well. So I'm registered in the pamphlet as a Republican and an independent. And then they started taking their signs, but then they said, well, you know, I got to ask my husband or wife if it's okay if I do that. At least they were willing to take the sign at that point. But right now, the only place that I've been successful at planting signs are in the public locations that we've got a list of acceptable locations to put in.
Okay. So what?
And I might add that I've already had some signs taken down and replaced by Kate signs.
Wow.
Same spot too.
Right. Well, tell me this. What are some of the issues that you felt are there within that district that are need to look at? And that's your platform, right? What are the issues? What are some of your major issues?
My three major issues are toll roads, of course.
Toll roads.
Yeah, nobody wants toll roads because we've already paid for our road system, and there's got to be a better way to get our infrastructure going again. Number two, PERS. PERS is absolutely eating everything that's important to Oregonians right now, and by the time this election happens is 50% of every dollar that we try to throw at the school system, for instance, is going to be consumed by a retirement system that was never adequately funded when it was created, and they should have fixed this problem 25 years ago and didn't. They kept kicking it down the road till tomorrow we'll fix it, and tomorrow's here. 50%, you know, bankruptcies defined as around 20% of unfunded debts in a business. We're way beyond that.
Okay, what's the other one?
And then the third thing is high density housing for Tigard, Metzger, and Garden Home. The high-density housing issue, a lot of people don't want to have row houses set up inside a Tigard and Metzger. I mean, it's just not the type of housing that people want to see. It goes against the fact that Tigard is an open bedroom community that, you know, people go out and come back to most of the time, jobs and things like that. It would just ruin the nature of Tigard to have that type of high density housing as part of our landscape. And the motivation behind that high density housing has more to do with trying to force light rail into the Tigard area.
Okay. So those are the issues, folks. As you can
That's
see,
just 3 of them, but that's the ones that I put on my brochure.
Those are the ones that you put on your brochure aspect of it. And then, like I said, you see what I'm talking about. We responded initially on this whole issue of race and hate, which is kind of like a major deal. Because a lot of times people will put that up front, i.e., because of your sign. Because of your sign, if you're saying that you're Republican, it's an issue, and we got to talk to a solution. It's always been dividing it of us, so consequently, you can't listen to what you're saying. And I'm sure you're probably talking about you've got solutions to those 3 areas.
Hate is like putting something over their face. You can't see past their nose because of the hate that's been put in front of them.
And I'll say again that I've invited Kay to come on the show as far as I'm concerned. Would you be willing to come back with me?
Oh, of course.
Okay, good. We got another show, and we say it. So Kay, you can come on if you're running for House District. I take it she's a Democrat.
Oh,
right?
Margaret Doherty is the
Margaret Doherty.
Yes.
Okay, good. So Margaret, please give us a call and be my guest. And you can share your particular position and what's your platform looking like as it relates to bettering the community that you're running for, and as far as that House district.
Yes, and I'd like to see her come here because so far in all the places I put out signs, I've found one Margaret Doherty sign.
Okay.
What's going on? Is
This
she
is the first
really
time.
running?
This is the first time running. Is it the first time running?
No, this would be her 6th.
6th time.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's the incumbent.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, all right then.
And she's in charge of the education committee. And look where our education stands, which is the 4th issue that we need to talk about.
Okay, good.
Next time.
Okay, sounds good. Well, okay, there you have it, folks. We had Bob, and he commented right on the front part of that other piece. And trust me, he is not a racist. I've been knowing Bob for quite some time, and I know I'm not one.
If you gave him a certificate, he should bring it out.
The certificate? What certificate?
The certificate says he's not racist.
What do you mean?
The certificate says this white person
I agree.
and the black person that is verifying they're not racist.
I agree. Well, he's Navy. You know, he's Navy.
Better known as a squid.
You're the Marine. Yes. So there's a certificate.
Better
folks.
known as
he's
a jarhead.
He's here. There we go. We won't get into that since
You have to work hard to get a jarhead.
Since they are Department of the Marine Corps.
You have to work at it.
I won't go into that.
I respect the Marines because they did have to wear leather one time.
Oh,
I know we look good in leather. Yeah.
Well, hey, folks,
leather
what we're going to get ready to do now, we're going to bring on someone else. We're going to bring someone else at this point in time. Bob, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Sign. This will be great, okay?
Yes.
Is that enough for you? That should get you something. Put that on Facebook.
I could go for hours here.
I know you can. We can. Okay, fine. All right, we're going to bring in another candidate right now. And as we were saying, what we're going to be doing, let's see. What we want to get. I'll tell you what. We'll get Tom out the way. Get Tom out the way. All right, we got Tom Harrison here. And good luck, buddy. Keep knocking on those doors, okay? Tom doesn't have anything to put on there. Maybe he might leave you on. You deal with it. Come on, Tom.
My wits and
All right, got Tom here.
So you don't have a sign?
Nope, don't have a sign.
Okay.
He's got a big sign. Trust me. Bottom line is that he's running against Earl Blumenauer. Now that's a big sign. Oh, that's
You've done that.
Oh, hey.
Oh my God.
I can't get Earl here, so I had to get Tom.
Now he got 50,000 votes when he ran against Earl. It's going to be interesting to see what you get.
Well, he said 80 for me.
Oh,
you got 80?
Oh, yeah.
No.
75.
Said he's going to get me 80.
Oh, okay, good.
75.
Good to meet you, by the way.
Hey,
So
good,
anyway,
good to meet you,
anyway, I
too.
got Tom Harrison. Hey, a brave guy willing to run against someone that says that, hey, the guy's impenetrable, you know what I mean? And that's Earl Blumenauer, Earl the Pearl Blumenauer. He's always riding a bicycle on his lapel.
Well,
I've not seen him on one yet. Have you seen him on one yet? You haven't seen him on one yet.
No,
and then I
never
think
seen
he's pushing the marijuana issue. I mean, he was kind of
Good for him.
He was a best principal kind of a guy. He got a lot of money from those guys.
He's been doing that since the 1970s.
Yeah, really, I didn't know that.
He-
I
if my
thought that was
memory's
against
correct-
the law.
if my
Smoking a
memory's
joint.
correct-
I thought that was a law against smoking a joint while
if-
you're sitting on the
If my
couch.
memory's correct, I'd
What
love
was
for
the deal?
somebody to check into it. He introduced a bill to legalize marijuana in the 1970s when he was a representative.
But wasn't it against the law to actually be smoking the joint at that point in time?
It was against the law to even possess it.
Well, I understand he was alleged to have been smoking and
All of the white politicians on both
Wait a
right
minute,
and
now,
left side, they all smoked weed back then.
Wait a minute.
They all
You
did.
smiled. Did you
They
get that,
all
Tom?
did.
I see that.
That's,
They all did.
Tom is saying it's time for him to get in now.
If they were white and in politics,
Yeah, is that
they
right?
smoked pot back
See, that's
then.
Marine. That's you got to understand. You got
Yeah, well, that's-
another jarhead.
Yeah.
All I can do is sit back and say, okay, I'm not agreeing with that
Because they
one.
knew they
That's
weren't
great.
going to get arrested.
Is that what it was?
No, they didn't get
Okay,
arrested.
okay.
This is why.
All right.
This is one of the reasons why I respect Blumenauer, And one of the reasons that an opportunity that the Republicans are missing on Kate is there was a huge, in the 1960s and 70s, a huge disparity on white people and black people being arrested with marijuana. We're talking like 90% of the arrests were black and 10% were white. So, in other words, white kids had nothing to worry about, especially the class of people who ran for office and ran businesses and stuff, right? That's exactly why Kate Brown, or whoever becomes governor, one of the first things they should do in January is pardon everybody who's ever been convicted.
Across the board.
Across the board.
White and black.
White and black, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Just everybody. Because up until,
everybody.
I'd say, the 1990s, it was very uneven. I mean, it was, if you look at the numbers, it is, you'd have to be a person with an IQ below 20, not to say, wow, for every white person that was arrested for marijuana. Now, you got to remember, Oregon hasn't had 100,000 black people in it since 1947. So, you look at it and you go, at least 90% of the people, because of numbers, the people smoking weed in Oregon are white, but 90% of the people who are being arrested for marijuana are black.
Come on.
You understand? So the numbers are so skewed.
You do agree in our society. I mean, the upper class does have some privileges, do you not?
Well, no, we're talking about just middle. We're talking about just middle class.
Oh, middle class?
How do you
give them a break.
Just middle class. Just middle class.
Right.
And then it dropped a little bit more after that shooting in '77 when that biker killed the Portland cop.
I remember that one.
It was like in Portland, white cops just stopped arresting white guys at all for marijuana. It was like, because back then the motorcycle gangs had the trade. So for a while they just stopped. They would just stop.
Well, anyway, that gets your piece on.
Yeah.
Now we got Tom. We got to make sure we get right back to where Tom is, because that was part of your area of responsibility. That Tom, you're going to be the man. Mm-hmm. You're going to be the man, and as far as the congressional district that Earl tends to.
Well, I'm going to be contrary on one thing. I don't know the
Go on.
Okay, so I'm going to be contrary on one thing, but I have no idea about the statistics for arrest or usage in that period of time. Though I grew up in a culture that was certainly marijuana favorable, I didn't associate with folks that did. I had two roommates that did, and I never did. So I didn't even inhale.
Were they ever arrested?
Well, no, they weren't.
Yeah.
But then again, nobody at Dartmouth was arrested. So
you went to Dartmouth?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
So and I'm also between two military guys, and I missed the whole thing because I was in college.
It's not too late. It's not too late. We'll take you.
Yeah, it is.
We'll take you. I'll take you now.
So I was in college before I was 18, so I was sort of immune, I guess. I didn't miss Vietnam. It was right as Vietnam was winding down.
Well, tell you what. Let's jump right into the race in terms of you're knocking on doors out there, and I know you. And I know you're not a racist. I know you happen to be a Republican.
And he's got the certificate.
And he got the certificate. He's on the show and you with you. And I don't see anybody going into any problems. So anyway, so Tom here, you're running against Earl Blumenauer.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is, you know what I mean. So what do you bring to the table that you think you might be there?
Different way of looking at rights.
Okay, what is it? Okay. Talk to me.
My foundational position is that human rights have existed since we've been throwing rocks at each other. There is no question about it. It has nothing at all to do with color. It has nothing at all to do with gender. It has to do with people being human. And you are human. You have rights that come with a package. So when the first, obviously, that's enumerated in the Declaration of Independence is the right to live. Okay. That's a right everyone bears. That the taking of innocent life ought to receive the worst possible judgment from society that you can possibly have. That's the first fundamental right. Part of that fundamental right is immortalized for us in the Second Amendment, because if you have the right to live and you don't have the right to defend life, they've taken away your right to live. It is for a 94-year-old woman, how is she going to defend herself if somebody breaks into her house if she doesn't have a firearm? Going to hit him with a skillet? Only if she can sneak up behind him. So the right to live implies with it the right to protect life. So now this issue in Pittsburgh, this has got two conflicting elements coming at it. First of all, people have a right to have a firearm, but now not a right to use it wrongly. And in this case, the taking of innocent blood, look, the scriptures point this out as one of the things God hates, and he only hates 7 things, is the hands that shed innocent blood. Well, that should be a pretty plain evidence from Judeo-Christian philosophy that that's the worst thing you can do. Well, so a fellow walks into a synagogue and shoots people, obviously innocent blood. There's no excuse for this. But one response is take away the right to protect life from others. That doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. So we have the conflict here, and it's going to bring the partisan powers to the table. One saying, "Look, we've got to stop the guy from shooting and protect them," which is what Trump said. He said, we have to have armed guards in churches." Now, I know some churches in town that do that. Actually, their ushers are armed, and that's a sensible thing. If they don't want people to have to.
Well, tell me this: what do you think? The guy's going to be—he's facing, I guess, 29 charges, and then he's going to probably be facing the death penalty. Do you think he's going to be able to receive that, or is he just going to get that 3 meals a day? 3 meals a day and housing and this, that, and the other.
Well,
and then all of a sudden he writes a book and that kind of stuff.
We're at a distance from the event. I can't imagine any mitigating circumstances, but maybe the jury will see some. In the meantime, it should receive the harshest treatment of any crime. It is the violation of a basic human right, and that doesn't deserve any respect.
We did this, well, the same thing happened in Atlanta too, right? Right, Fred? In Atlanta?
Yeah.
I mean, how many folks are...
Charlotte.
In Charlotte.
In
I mean,
Charlotte.
yeah, but in terms of numbers, I think they were just all blacks at a church.
Yeah.
At a church. I think it was 8 or 9.
It was like 9 or something like that. 9
folks or whatever. But what do we do about that? Where's the deterrent? I'm throwing that out on the table. Where do you get the life for life?
Well,
what do you think about that?
That's why I threw out that.
Let me ask him, and
then
you can just respond to it. Hold on.
Well, you got partisan responses to this. One of them I've mentioned is people are going to be calling for the elimination of guns for as many people as possible, and the other is to allow people to be armed in their own environments. So it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, to have people be able to carry in their place of worship doesn't violate my sense of morality. It's a protective, because again, I view this as a fundamental human right. The right to protect life is fundamental to the right to live. So there are laws in place in different parts of the country, I don't know about Pittsburgh, that make it unlawful to carry a firearm in church. I do not know why that makes any sense. That you declare that, and for people who are prone to wanting to do violence, you've just given them permission to break the law in that church.
Okay. So, all right, we got that deal. Any other point?
Well, the only point, like I said before, and that's what I wanted to ask every politician, what are you going to do to lower the hate? As long as we've got white supremacists roaming our country, feeling like they're equal Americans, we're going to have incidences like this. Eventually, the smart guys are going to start using bombs. I'm not worried about the gun debate because guns ain't going anywhere, okay? But what about these people who feel that they can kill black people, they can kill Jewish people? Pretty soon, guys, they're going to start killing white people who associate with black people or Jewish people.
Well, that's already happened.
Well, no, it's already happened, but I'm saying they're going to start doing it at mass. You're going to start seeing politicians, people like you who are running for office, who's got a Jewish friend from college or a black friend, a black guy that's your son-in-law or something, and some white supremacist is going to say, I'm going to kill you. Your daughter has sex with a Negro. You understand what I'm talking about? Now, are you going to wait until that day? And then you're going to say, hey, these guys are a threat to our community.
But Fred, we did start from the standpoint of saying, how was this brought to the fueling of this whole issue? And that's from the media and the talk shows.
Believe in the media, but it's a valid point. The U.S. president did not stand up to white supremacists.
But I'm still talking to the media.
Oh, my God.
Let's talk to the media. Can you give the same force behind the media?
The U.S. president did not stand up to a terroristic attack.
What about the media?
By American citizens on our soil.
What about the media?
The media would have reported it had he said, guys, I'm going to go all J. Edgar Hoover on these guys. That's all he had to say. I mean, he's the president. There is nobody in this country should feel comfortable with attacking U.S. citizens, whether you're on a foreign soil or over here.
Fred,
do you think that the jihadis now are laughing their ass off? Some white guy just killed a bunch of Jews.
Fred,
oh, my God, it's so humiliating.
I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying...
Are we going to be drone striking some of these guys?
Fred, can you listen for a minute? I'm just saying, who expressed the issue...
In the United States?
In the United States.
Hold up, guys. Who expressed the issue first? Who put the mic in the whom's face first? Who put in the mic? Who fueled the deal to start with?
Bruce, it's a valid point. The U.S. president said white supremacists, some of them are nice people.
You're not listening.
I wish we had.
No, wait, guys.
I've watched it a million times.
You watched it?
I've watched it.
That's the media.
And I watched the second one.
That's the media.
No. I watched. Okay. I was watching CNN real time. I saw my president say it right in front of me.
What if CNN?
I mean, with my own eyes.
What if CNN had not even carried it?
It's what he didn't say.
No, I asked you a question.
Can I break in here?
Mm-hmm. Good on. Okay. We're going to get going now because I got some more folks. I got an announcement.
I heard something different because I didn't hear him defend white supremacists. I heard him say that there were some protesters there who were peaceful.
He was asked a direct question about the white supremacists. And in the body of his answer, okay, when he was addressing the issue at mass, he said there were some nice people there, some good people there, and he ignored the white supremacists totally. Now that right there is telling a white supremacist right there, hey, the president isn't mad at me.
Okay.
You understand what I'm talking about? And if the president...
All right, here we go. Let them keep talking.
I'm mad at what you did.
Cut it off right now.
I'm coming for you.
We can cut it off right now.
Where would the world be right now?
Hold up. Let's cut it off right now. We'll be right back. Okay?
There's no excuse for supporting.
Put on the commercial.
You are watching Oregon Voters Digest. This program can be seen again on these channels on these dates and times. Tell a friend.
Folks, we're back. We got a commercial to do. I mean, right here in Portland, Oregon. All of a sudden, you know, there was an event that happened when I basically when I went on a vacation in Mexico, and there was this event, and I couldn't understand what was going on, and there I was participating. I was walking down the street, this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden there was this celebration, and I didn't understand it as well, but I was there. But guess what? There's going to be a similar kind of an event here in Oregon, right here. And the whole idea is from Mexican Americans, you know, their culture. And I think it's a really interesting piece, so I thought I'd invite them on. And it just so happened that Maria Garcia and we ran for county commissioner not too long ago here in District Number 2. And I thought that was a kind of interesting piece. And Maria said that, Bruce, I'm going to take... She's very active, by the way, folks. A very active a Mexican American, and I'll be right up front with it. She's an American, like I'm an American, and as she always quoted to me, Bruce, I'm not a minority, I'm an American. And I got my culture, but that's okay. But anyway, Maria, welcome.
Hola, Bruce. Thank you.
And I know you work. She's a business person too. She owns her own coffee shop, and she does a lot of other things.
First Mexican inspired coffee shop, Revolution Coffee House.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bruce.
Talk to me.
I wanna talk about an event that I'm organizing for November 2nd. It's Día de los Muertos, Día de Muertos, the celebration of Day of Dead.
Should have
so
something.
I'm very excited because we are going to be working together with Portland Art Museum, who is the host of the event. Last year, they collaborated with me in this celebration that we organized in PNCA. This year, we have PNCA, Portland Art Museum, and next year, well, we have some other surprises, other cultural institutions joining us. But Day of Dead celebration is very important for the Mexican community because we honor dead. We have very, very deep roots in the Mexican culture. So for us, or our ancestors, they always honor dead because it was just a transition of life, is how we see it. So when you go to Mexico, especially if you go to Morelia, Michoacan, different towns of Michoacan, Oaxaca, pretty much the central and south part of Mexico, they tend to celebrate in a very beautiful way this day, right? So people go to the cemeteries and they bring flowers and they bring dishes that their loved ones used to enjoy when they were alive, right? So they bring the food, they bring music, and they have the interaction in the cemeteries.
Is this a first for Oregon?
No.
You've done this before?
I've been working on this event for the past 4 years. I have friends that are being very active celebrating Day of Dead, you know, for the past probably 8-10 years, right? The difference with this event is that we're bringing a lot of really information about what this event is about. It's not just Halloween party. It's not about just painting your face with like a trina, you know, when you see the faces with the skull and all that. Yeah. It's deeper than that. It's honoring our deceased ones, right? Our loved ones that have departed before us. It's honoring our culture. So we're gonna have, for this event, we're gonna have different Mexican restaurants presenting. Each one of them is gonna present one traditional dish, which is mole. So in Mexico, in our gastronomy, we have various number of moles, right? We cannot say a specific number of moles because it goes by regions, and moles are made of dry chiles and, you know, spices. The moles, the sauce, you know, the thick sauce. So we usually eat it with chicken, pork, or seafood, depends on the region. So each restaurant is going to be presenting one specific mole. Our audience get to vote for the best mole. You know, we're going to make it fun. Also, we're bringing Mexican panaderias or bakeries, and they're going to be selling, our traditional pastries that are called pan de muertos. So it's a round shape, you know, pastry with sugar, and so it's just honoring death in a different way.
Let's talk about now. Where is it going to be located?
Portland Art Museum, from 4 to
Portland
9
Art
p.m.
Museum, here in Portland.
Portland Art Museum, from 4 to 9 p.m.
4 to 9.
So it's going to be a gastronomic event, but at the same time, we're going to have an art exhibition. We're going to have altars, which is very symbolic of our celebration, and we're going to have some performances by local artists. So it's a free event except for the food. We ask the audience to support our Mexican business.
Do we have this on the screen, Mike? We have that one on the screen as far as the location and the time and stuff like that? Do we have that on the screen? I guess we're going to be, we have that, 1 minute? Okay, just keep talking then.
So we have a Facebook page event. If you go to either Revolucion Coffee House Facebook page or Portland Art Museum Facebook page, you will see it's showing right there. So you will see an update of what restaurants are participating, what they're participating with, our performances, and just details about the event. Please come and celebrate, come and learn about our culture, especially now that we're going to have elections coming. And I invite all elected officials to please come and not just be seen there, you know. No. Come and learn from our culture. Come and learn from us, because when I was a candidate, just like you were, right? In all the forums that I went, all the questions that we got asked, nobody asked about immigrants, and nobody asked how we are doing, immigrant community, right? And we're here, we're existing, we're growing, And I would like elected officials to recognize, not just when it's Hispanic Heritage Month, right? I would like them to come and experience a cultural event, right? And learn about our culture and keep us on the map, because we're not going anywhere. So let's just open the door for conversation about the needs of our communities. So this is a good example of just being present and learn about culture in our
Maria,
communities.
it's always a pleasure. Naturally, I would like
Thank
to talk
you.
to you about the other side, about that piece, but I'll bring you back next week if you got some time.
Of course.
'Cause I know this is a very busy situation. What's the date
Thank
again
you.
of that?
November 2nd,
November
from 4
2nd.
to 9 at Portland
Okay.
Air Museum.
Okay. Is there a phone number that they can call for any other basic
No,
information?
just go through the Facebook page. Everything is self-explanatory.
Okay.
you
I'll
know.
call the Art Museum. The Art Museum. They can call
The
the
Art Museum, yeah, you can send an inbox message,
okay.
and we can answer all the
Okay.
questions. But
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank
Stay
you.
well. Okay, we're gonna take we get a short break. We just go. In fact, we just stay right on the set. I'll just go on and say
Thank you.
thank you very much. Can I have one of these?
oh yes, please.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. Tell my friend I said hello.
I will.
Okay.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks again,
All right,
darling.
bye.
Okay, okay, sweetheart. Take care now. Okay. All right, Mark. Come on, Mark. Well, they just showed you. What's this for? Oh, thank you, Fred. Gee whiz, I mean, I really. That's one thing about him. He said he was a private. He said he was a lieutenant when I knew him. No.
Lean it back there a little bit. There you
But
go.
gunnery sergeants always ran the Corps anyway. All right, Mark,
you doing?
how's it going, sir? How you doing,
Good,
sir?
good.
Fine,
Good.
fine. Look
Yeah,
at
how
you.
you doing?
Good guy. Well, I figured, we bring another candidate running for office. You've seen Callahan before. He's almost like myself. We've been running for. In fact, Fred's run for office too. But between the two of us, though, we've gone all over the state.
Oh yeah.
We've run for governor. We've run for Congress.
Well, I haven't run for governor.
You didn't
but,
run for governor yet?
No.
Oh,
no.
you have to start that
one race at a time.
Well, you got to get that one next time around. Okay, fine. But the bottom line is that he gets out and he knocks on doors. This guy's, he's really dedicated. And he's an Oregonian all the way through, straight up aspect of it. And in fact, he's been on. He was on last week.
Yep.
We had him on last week aspect of it. And again, that was Maria Garcia because Maria was going to take the time. And it was going to be together to talk about solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Because 105 is something that is a major issue here within the state, around the country for that matter.
Yep.
And the whole idea is that I wanted to make sure that she identified the fact that some of the here's what Mexican Americans are doing here in this state aspect of it, and it's good to know that. So that's why we did this. But this time around, I thought we'd go down and continue on in terms of we had this shooting of late about the whole issue of race and hate. It was a Jewish situation, and we had blacks, and we even had whites in many ways aspect of it. Yeah. But we've got to get down to i.e. this togetherness thing within our country, for that matter, and within our state.
Yeah.
And I got these two guys here, and both are just as strong as ever. So, but at the same time, we have to discuss this issue, and that's what we're doing. This is not about.
And you've given him the certificate too, right?
Yeah, I think I have that at home. Yeah,
I gave
exactly.
the certificate just by having you here. But everything is good. So okay. So let's just jump right on in. Mark, what would you think? You're still knocking on the doors.
Regarding the shooting or my campaign?
Yeah, it's campaign. But first
Okay.
off, the campaign. When I talked to him this morning, this was a short time deal. He was out there getting a pumpkin for Halloween with his wife.
Yep, we were out there, Salve Island, getting a pumpkin this morning. It was kind of wet and rainy, but
He had
yeah,
the
we.
big hair. He had the big. He did everything.
Oh, yeah.
And the moment she heard Bruce on Oregon Voters Digest, she said, "Fine.
Yep.
As long as you
Gotta get there.
Got to get down there. Okay,
exactly.
good. So, okay, so fine. Well, you're knocking on the doors. Did you hear anything about this shooting at all?
Yeah, it is tragic, and it is a hate crime. I do classify it as a hate crime because it is a hate crime. I've actually been to events with the Jewish community down in Salem before, and they're great people. They have great food too, but they're great people. Yeah, it was a hate crime, no hands down on that one. But I mean, it shouldn't have happened, and it's tragic that we do have people in this country. We can't classify complete groups of people as hating other people, but I mean, this man was clearly disturbed, and he was clearly racist, and it was clear that he was a killer, and it was a hate crime, and I would agree that it is. One of the things I'm running on my campaign is kind of seeing past the racism, past the partisanship, and I'm a Republican myself, but I'm going to Congress to represent everyone. Whether they be Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, white, black, Mexican, you name it. I mean, I'm there to represent everyone in the 5th Congressional District, and because I see past race and I see past partisanship. Because right now it's just divided our country. I think, I mean, Lincoln told us in the 1800s, I mean, we got to see past race. We have to see past what the things that divide us and focus on the things that actually bring us together as one team, as Americans. And so I'm going to Congress to do just that. I'm going to Congress to represent everyone, regardless of partisanship, political background, social division, race, color, ethnicity, whatever. I'm there to represent everyone.
Okay, good. Fred, what do you think, bud?
What about what he just said?
Well, I'll throw this out to you. Well, Lincoln, he was right about Lincoln aspect of it, but they shot him.
Yeah.
They killed him. And as a result of that, in all due respect, there were things that he was doing in terms of the platform that he was promoting aspect of it. They've basically taken that history and they've not included that his history during that particular time in the classroom.
But you see, we got new history you got to create. You know, the history you got right now is our politicians, all of them, Democrats, Republicans. Republicans are just not good at showing their concern for the threat. The Democrats act like they're concerned, but they really aren't, because look at the results. You know, so bottom line, all of us, we've got to start bringing this up with the people we vote for. I can't understand why it seems so easy, right? So easy for us to send our young boys and young girls overseas to kill these treacherous, American-hating anti-Semites over there. But these guys that live among us, that are going to be having Thanksgiving dinner with a lot of us out here this coming Thanksgiving, I mean, come on. We should be gutting these folks. They are threats to our society. One of that kind went into a church yesterday, a synagogue, and murdered innocent Americans. And I'm amazed politicians aren't hopping mad, wanting to find out, we should put a bounty on these guys' heads. You understand? And double it if black and white people bring the guy's dead or alive body to justice. You know how much that would bring people together? You know, if we put a bounty on white nationalists' heads and said, hey, $1,000 if he's alive, $500 if he's dead. But you know what? If a black person and a white person bring them in together, we'll double it. You understand? It would bring everybody together. These guys are threats to every American in the United States. And those white people out there who don't think that your day in the barrel ain't coming, you are foolish. You obviously don't give a damn about your grandchildren, because these guys hate people who aren't like them. And unless you're like them, they're going to be coming for you too. They're going to be coming for you because you work for a Jewish guy or a Jewish woman, or you dated a Jewish girl in college or something, you know what I mean? Maybe your favorite football player is Jewish, you know, or black.
Yeah.
These guys are a threat to every American, black or white. And until people in America starts making sure the people we vote for start taking these people on, there's no reason to vote for anybody. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but I mean, what I would have loved for you to say, it, if you vote for me, I'm going to stand up against this type of hate. I'm going to be one voice these guys know is not standing with them, period.
Here's your platform. Here's your platform. Like you said, but again, the reason why we're doing this show today is because we got some other major issues that counters it, like you're saying. This deal that's here now. Unfortunately, that's the total focus, and it's identified from the standpoint that all Republicans are for this piece, as opposed to Democrats.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's basically I see people as individuals myself. I don't believe in things like mob rule or anything like that. I believe in things like due process. I believe in things like the Constitution. This is my original one. It's covers kind of come off over the years. I've kind of taped it back together, but I believe in due process. I believe in the rule of law, and we are a country of laws, yes. But to classify someone in just because if they belong to a particular group, I mean, they're
like Tories. What did George Washington do to the Tories?
Fred, please.
But my point is, Fred, I agree with you. It's wrong. It's a hate crime what happened yesterday, and I agree with you on that.
Okay.
But the point is, you can't classify everyone just based upon like their religious background or skin color.
If they say they're a Nazi, a Klansman, or a white supremacist, they've classified themselves. They're a threat to the United States. Find them, arrest them, or give them a grave. They're a threat to the United States. These guys have walked 2 years ago
Hold on.
into a church of black people and
hold
murdered
on.
a bunch of old black people. Now they walk into a synagogue for the second time in 3 years and murdered a bunch of Jews.
But was it the individual that did it?
Wait,
yeah.
hold on. No.
Yeah.
Will you hold that, man?
Okay. I'm holding.
Sometimes I wonder whether he was in the Marine Corps.
I was in the Marines.
You was
I
a
joined the
private.
Marines so I could go hunt down
I
people
understand
like
you were
this.
private. I didn't realize you were private. You told me you were a lieutenant. I mean, that's
No,
okay.
no. I never made the lieutenant. But I joined
really?
the U.S. Marines so I could go
Wow.
and face people that
Okay.
are threats to this
All right.
country.
Well, I understand now the problem. Okay, Fred. We could.
Okay,
good.
cool.
Let's get down. Now, here's some other things I want to bring out to. What about the media? Like I said, in terms of fueling this fire, it's an issue. And I'd like to get your comments on both sides. I'm going to start off with, and please leave them alone.
No,
Get your
he's
hand
good.
off.
I'm not
good
good.
guy.
I told you, get your hand off.
I just gave him some good
I
advice.
said leave him alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there you go. You reacted again. But typical private. Okay. We'll go on. Let's go.
The media?
What about the fueling? Let's talk about the media. Media and talk show hosts.
Media and talk show hosts. Well, I think the
think?
media has changed over the years. I think it's gone from actual unbiased news to more opinion based. And so I think that people, when they watch CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, or even local channels, sometimes they're hearing opinion of the commentators, opinion of the radio hosts, as opposed to actually getting both sides. When I was growing up, my grandfather used to always tell me that there are always two sides to a story. You have to listen to both sides, and you make up your own mind. Well, from what I see as the media nowadays, or what's commonly sometimes referred to as the fake news or the lamestream media or something like that, the media wants you to side with them, or else you're their enemy. Or else, if you disagree with the media, you're basically disagreeing, and then they throw out words like racist or something like that. But the point, which shuts down conversation. I'm all about continuing the conversation, like we talked about last time. You can't shut down the conversation. But nowadays, the media basically wants to tell you how to think instead of giving you both sides of the story and allowing you to make up your own mind yourself. So that's my take on the media.
Okay.
So
Now you're a strong advocate on Facebook. In terms, and you have your own mindset. You have your own mindset. And how do you feel about that?
No, I feel the media is one of the reasons why
I'm talking about Facebook. That's a form of a media, right?
Yeah, and thank God for it, because I think if it wasn't for things like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, I mean, I think our country would be over with. I mean, we right now, for probably the first time in I don't know how long, because I don't know what the media was like before I was born, but nobody can really trust what we get from the media, and all we can really trust is video. That's why video content's so important these days. It's always been important, but it's even more important because you can't trust print. You got to actually see it. And then even when it comes to video, you can only trust it so much because they don't always show you the whole thing. You know, they show you the part that supports their point. But the point is, you have a more likely chance with a video with sound getting to the truth than you do with a reporter who sits down and is writing out a story. Our media, and it has nothing to do with right or left, our media lies to us all the time. I've been studying the journalists here in Portland, Oregon. I don't know about the journalists nationwide. There's not one journalist in Portland, Oregon who could run for office right now using the same standards. I mean, the editorial board of both the Oregonian and Willamette Reed doesn't really have an editorial board, but those guys, I dare those guys, any of them, to ever run for office. I double, triple dare them. Hell, I got 10 grand for any one of these guys. I'm going to donate it to you if you decide to run for office, because not one of these guys that are running the Willamette Week or the Oregonian, any of my friends out there would want your son or daughter to associate with. These are low-life people.
Having had my own less than satisfactory experience with Willamette Week, about 4 years ago, I called out Nigel Jackwitz at Willamette Week for disrespecting a fellow candidate, Joe Ray Perkins, in the U.S. Senate race I was in. And he was literally writing blah, blah, blah on his notepad when Joe Ray...
You know what you should do the next time? Ask him, are you treating me the same way you're treating your wife? Say that.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, consequently, they won't even call me in for an endorsement interview.
You
this
don't need
time.
to talk to them.
I know that they recently did endorsement interviews for my race in the 5th Congressional. They didn't even call me in. I didn't even know about the
Nigel
meeting because they
Jacques
didn't call me in.
has cashed checks that his boss made working with sex traffickers. You don't need Limit Week.
Yeah.
You don't need Limit Week.
Okay, well, we're getting off my point again.
Yeah.
But I respect that really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened to me on a number of occasions. But the idea you got to stay focused.
Oh yeah, stay focused.
Focus on the issues.
Exactly.
Focus on the issues.
And that's why you
Focus on the
avoid
issues.
Limit Week. I mean,
Focus on
look
the
up
issues.
backpage.com.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, this is a very
And just think, people
volatile-
take
and-
their
and
endorsement.
my
These
friend,
guys
the
make
private,
money
is
with
still
sex
talking.
traffickers, and they have the right to
you
endorse
hold-
You know,
candidates.
you know they endorsed my opponent, Kurt Schrader,
No,
in
they
the race.
both
They
of them.
endorsed
You
my
gotta-
opponent.
you gotta
So
vote
yeah.
them.
Yeah. Kurt Schrader
we
must
get-
have a
we-
fondness
we-
for pimps and prostitutes.
Okay, let's get down. Let's get again, folks. This is an election time at one point in time, and we have issues. We have some very, very major issues. And one of the major issues, we do have an issue of hate and racism here in our state. And we got two parties that are viable, and they need to work on it.
I
big
agree.
time.
I agree.
I'm afraid on that piece.
And we need to work
But
together,
but it's
basically.
not,
I think is what
it's
it
not
is. So.
all Republicans, and it's not all Democrats. It's a few folks, and I normally focus on
agree
the
with
media
you.
because in most cases,
100%.
individuals own these media outlets. It's not just there's a media guy. No, there's individuals.
Well, the news is no longer unbiased.
That's right.
It's very biased
Who's
news out there.
responsible? You got owners who are responsible. Who dictate to them basically? This is the way I want. I like it. And all due respect, what it gets down to, negative sells more than positive. Think about
I
it.
agree.
Negative sells more than positive. How are we going to get off that dime? Any thoughts about getting off the dime? How do you get off of that dime?
We're going to have to start asking questions from each other more often.
Exactly.
We're going to have to start listening to each other more often.
I agree.
And I got to tell you, I look at my Democrat friends, and I tell my Democrat friends, stop believing lies. And I say it to my Republican friends too. You understand? Both sides, there's these lies that they embrace so they can support their issue or their guy. You understand? And this is doing us no good. You understand? We've got enemies of our country who feel that they can at will do whatever they want in our country because they're watching us. Our standards are so low. We accept so many just lies. We got 11 dead Jewish people. That could have been avoided.
Well,
I think the key, Bruce, is to actually listen to people. I know one thing I always value. I really value this on the campaign trail. I can go give a speech in front of a room 50 to 100 people, or even smaller. I was talking with a group of seniors the other day. But the one thing I really value when I'm out there on the campaign trail is the before and the after the meeting, because you can sit and talk to someone face to face, look them straight in the eye, be genuine about it. Be genuine during the campaign speech too, but be genuine about it in terms of getting to know them. And I think that's what's going to solve a lot of problems, is we actually need to look people straight in the eye, tell the truth, and want to get to know someone as opposed to just stop or just waiting for them to stop talking. You want to actually have a dialogue. And I think if we can have communication open and keep the dialogue going as opposed to shutting each other down all the time, then that's what we need to do. So,
I got a question.
Let me throw something out to you. I want to throw this out to you. Now, all three of us have run for office before. What are your feels about running for office and getting interviewed for an endorsement? If you notice when you go and you get interviewed, and then you wait for the endorsement, and you wait for the rationale of that positioning of the endorsement. What do you think? Real quick, gotta go. Real quick.
If I run for office, I'll probably never meet with a
Real quick.
newspaper
I
again.
got about 8 minutes. Hold on, real quick.
I already said it.
Yeah, good.
all right. Well, I appreciate endorsements, but yeah, the waiting is the tough part. So.
Okay, good. Well, folks, you've had it. As you can see, it's very great. Join us next week, and we'll continue the same path. Take care. Have a good one. Enjoy your day.